So we originally thought there were 4 people in that June 2016 meeting at Trump Tower. That number grew to 6 by the time Morning Joe signed off on Friday, and then continued to metastasize to 7. We now know that along with Donald Trump Jr., Paul Manafort, and Jared Kushner, there was Russian lawyer Natalia Veselnitskaya, British publicist Rob Goldstone, who told the AP he was present, a translator. There was also Rinat Akhmetshin, a Russian-born American citizen who served in the Soviet military and has lobbied on issues important to the Kremlin. And other news outlets are reporting that a possible 8th person attended as well. The New York Times wrote this weekend about Akhmetshin as a skilled practitioner in the muscular Russian version of what is American politics known as opposition research. Akhmetshin also told the Associated Press that Veselnitskaya brought with her a plastic folder with printed out documents that detailed what she believed was the flow of illicit Russian funds to the Democrats. According to Akhmetshin, Veselnitskaya presented the contents of the documents to the Trump associates and suggested that making the information public could help the campaign. Also this weekend, Veselnitskaya told the Wall Street Journal that she had spoken with the office of Russia's top prosecutor and was in regular contact with Russian authorities about her U.S. lobbying efforts. But Jay Sekulow, a member of President Trump's legal team, insists absolutely nothing happened.
Do you know for sure everyone who was at that meeting with Donald Trump Jr.?
No, I don't represent Donald Trump Jr., and I do not know everyone for sure that was at that meeting. And the president was not at the meeting. I can tell you he was not there. The president wasn't aware of the meeting and did not attend it.
Doesn't it show intent and willingness on the part of Don Jr. and Jared and Paul Manafort to collude with the Russians? And let me just point out, Natalia Veselnitskaya was not just some Russian off the street. She had close ties to people in the Kremlin.
Well, number one, if there was the discussion was going to be about, if it was going to be about Russian opposition research that a Russian lawyer had, the fact is, those goes on. You know that goes on in campaigns all the time. Opposition research is a big part of campaigning.
It doesn't go on with the Russians all the time, Jay.
Well, no, but look, here's what happened. First of all, nothing happened.
Isn't it also important whether or not it's legal, whether or not it's wrong, whether or not it's ethical?
Well, you're conflating, Jake, 3 perspectives here. The legality, was the meeting and what took place legal or not? We, of course, and as almost every legal expert has said, it's not illegal. And then you're trying to put a moral, ethical aspect to it, and it's easy to do that in 20/20 hindsight, but not when you're in the middle of a campaign.
That's just not true. I mean, it's hard to really. I've known Jay for a long time, and I've liked Jay for a long time, but there are so many false statements there. Talk about conflating things. It's staggering. And Jeremy Peters, if you look at what Jay Sekulow was forced to go out and say last weekend on the Sunday shows, if you look at the statement that the President of the United States signed off on, with all the president's men around him on Air Force One, coming back from Europe, lying to the New York Times, lying to the American people, saying this meeting was just about adoption, and then the next day lying about the people that were in it, then going on a TV show that basically is state-run television and being asked at the end of that TV show, is there anything else that we don't know about? And Don Jr. saying, that's it. And then the next day we find out another person attended the meeting. And then the next day we find out that somebody connected with the KGB that basically was an intel officer was at the meeting. And then the next day finding out that there are 2 other people at the meeting. These people keep getting caught in their lies day after day after day. And Jay Sekulow and the President of the United States keep saying, nothing to see here. Move along, move along. It's like actually a character out of The Simpsons. There is something to see here, and even their own base know that.
That's right, and I think, Joe, as you said over the weekend, that's why you start to hear more and more Republicans saying, okay, this just doesn't pass the sniff test. Yes, opposition research is a fundamental part of any campaign, but not from a Russian operative, not from a hostile foreign power. And the lack of acknowledgement by Trump or any of the people around Trump that maybe this was not the best decision, that maybe this didn't show the best judgment, this total lack of any ability to have introspection and contrition on this is consistent with a pattern of what we've seen from Donald Trump and his people for a long time. It's always someone else's fault. It's the fault of the fake news media for not explaining this properly, for conflating a bunch of things, as Jay Sekulow tried to say yesterday. It's Loretta Lynch's fault. It's the DNC's fault. I mean, if Donald Trump is on the outs, if Donald Trump is down and something bad is happening to him, it's always because someone else is cheating or lying, and they have never ever been able to accept responsibility and say, you know what, maybe we shouldn't have handled things this way.
Well, you know, Donald Trump in a tweet this weekend tries to blame it on the fake news media, but of course an overwhelming number of Americans believe that Don Jr.'s meeting with the Russians was inappropriate. David Ignatius, we heard Jay Sekulow also say that here there you go, 26% think appropriate, 63% think that meeting was not appropriate. And David Ignatius, you even have Jay Sekulow saying the overwhelming majority of legal scholars say that there's absolutely nothing illegal about that meeting. That's not what I've been hearing. It's not what I've been hearing out of the White House. It's not what I've been hearing from Capitol Hill. There are a lot of people inside the White House and a lot of Republicans on Capitol Hill afraid that at least one member in that meeting put themselves in grave legal jeopardy by even being there and not reporting it.
Well, and maybe most important of all, it's not Jay Sekulow's call whether it's legal or not. We have a criminal investigation underway conducted by one of the best prosecutors in America. And this is what happens when a criminal investigation begins to accelerate. New facts emerge. People begin to worry about their positions. They disclose things that were not disclosed earlier. I've heard people in the White House say, well, you know, these emails with Don Jr., that's really the toughest stuff that we've got to deal with. Well, we'll see. If that's true, if that's really the worst that there is, we'll see. But in an investigation like that, new material keeps churning to the top, and that's part of what we're seeing.